Hello and thank you for joining us right here on Luntha television. It's time for news. Enjoy with me, Jacqueline Saidi. First, the headlines. Pope Francis calls on the faithful to keep their hearts open to hope and to trust in God. Malawi Parliament adjourns amid opposition rejection of a reconstruction of press trust. Poor sanitation and waste management rocks Lilongwe City as the council commits to contain the situation. And in other news, Senegal members of parliament detained for hitting female colleague. We have these and more. Stay with us. Pope Francis has released his message for the World Day of Peace, which is to be celebrated on the 1st January 2023. In the message, the Pope recalls that all crises are interconnected and that we must not forget any of them but work for the good of humanity. Further, the Pope noted that the war in Ukraine is reaping innocent victims and spreading insecurity not only among those directly affected, but in a widespread and indiscriminate way for everyone, also for those who even thousands of kilometers away that suffer its collateral effects. We have more on this report.
No one can be saved alone. Combating COVID-19 together, embarking together on paths of peace is the title of Pope Francis' message for the 56th World Day of Peace, held annually on 1st January. The Holy Father's message, which has been released today, opens with a quotation from the first letter of St. Paul to the Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 1 to 2. Thus, the Pope recalls that the Apostle Paul encouraged the Thessalonian community to remain steadfast. Likewise, he says, when tragic events seem to overwhelm our lives, we are called to keep our hearts open to hope and to trust in God, who makes himself present, accompanies us with tenderness, sustains us in our weariness, and above all, guides our paths. Before going on to use the COVID-19 pandemic as an example, saying though the pandemic seems to have upset even the most peaceful parts of our world and exposed any number of forms of fragility, the Pope emphasized that there is light even in the darkest hour. He stressed that the time is right to question, learn, grow, and allow ourselves to be transformed as individuals and as communities, reminding us, as he has done before, that we never emerge the same from times of crisis, that we emerge either better or worse. He said this experience has made us all the more aware of the need for everyone, including peoples and nations, to restore the way together to a central place in our lexicon. The Holy Father indicated that this war, together with all the other conflicts around the globe, represents a setback for the whole of humanity and not merely for the parties directly involved, saying while a vaccine has been found for COVID-19, suitable solutions have not yet been found for the war. It has been recalled through the message that only the peace that comes from a fraternal and disinterested love can help us overcome personal, societal, and global crises. Finally, Pope Francis has asked that in the coming new year that we journey together and that history has to teach us.
The 7th meeting of the National Assembly in the 49th session of Parliament was today, December 16th, prematurely adjourned, signed amid opposition lawmakers dejecting over government's motion to discuss Bill number 41 of 2020 to reconstruct press trust. The bill, among others, seeks to reconstruct the foremost Malawi's local charitable institution, Press Trust. The House has adjourned sine die without formalities from both leaders of the House and leaders of opposition. We have a report which is being read by Alinafi Puri.
When the House convened, government threw a motion to reconstruct the Press Trust, but it was shot down. 69 opposition members of parliament, mainly from the giant opposition Democratic Progressive Party, voted against the 41 MPs on the government benches who wanted the bill tabled. At that instant, Leader of the House, Chiwendo Banda, moved another motion to adjourn the House, sine die, which the opposition had protested. Chipping in, Leader of Opposition Kondwani Nankoma argued that the House cannot be adjourned because there were still more bills to discuss. Nankoma said the bill was at committee stage, hence it should be dealt with. But despite the protest, Speaker of the House, Gotani Hara, adjourned the House sine die. She said that once the Leader of the House speaks, the House adjourns automatically. Over 3 bills per Friday's order paper have been left out.
In 5, 3, 2, 1.
An investigation by Malawi Human Rights Commission (MHRC) has revealed that Kalibu Academy administrators corporal punishment of various forms on students, which include digging swimming pools, imprisonment, among others. According to the chairperson of a committee on allegations of corporal punishment and child sexual abuse at Kalibu Academy Private School, Dr. Sunduzwayo Madise, the commission has established that students are mostly subjected to corporal punishment, which at times lasts the entire day without protective gear. The commission has mentioned names of members of staff in the report who allegedly unleash corporal punishment on students, and these include the director for the school and the headmaster.
The fact that the school does administer corporal punishment, and that the school also gives out manual labor as a punishment to its students. We also found that the school has some rules or manners which in a way make it very difficult for students or parents to complain. We found that this corporal punishment or issuance of manual labor was prescribed in the rules of the school. We also found that the school also gives power to prefects as well, apart from teachers, to administer corporal punishment. But we found that most of the corporal punishment was being administered by the teachers, including the headmaster and
Still on the same, Malawi Human Rights Commission, while releasing findings into the matter of injuries suffered by police officers, and one Clifford Komba has recommended that the Malawi Police Service should establish clear policies for addressing needs of officers to get injured in the course of their work. Komba, in the incident, allegedly hit 4 police officers and blunted on over speeding charges. Hear this.
The finding is that indeed he was shot, and that is not in dispute. The police officer who took the shot was actually arrested and has been detained on the charge of murder. Our recommendation is that the police need to be a little bit more cautious about these officers, because there is allegation that this particular officer came to work post drunk, and that he went on his own to the particular bar at the gate or more on his own. And we know that usually officers who travel in pairs
As primary school education continues to face a lot of challenges in Malawi, education expert Island Mtambo has called on charity corporate partnerships to provide support to primary school education. In an interview with Luntha television, Mtambo said the corporate world, like the banks and the business community, needs to do something in order to help developing the primary school education. According to Mtambo, it is high time, since people in this country had perceptions of leaving everything for the government. We have a report by Charity Chilanga.
Primary school education has long been recognized as a primary factor in reducing poverty. Indicators show that education helps advance economic and agricultural productivity for developing countries, along with improving health and reductions in fertility, infant mortality, and morbidity rates. According to education expert Irene Mtambo, despite the attention education has gained worldwide in aiding development, Malawi is included as one of many countries which has struggled to maintain good quality education. He said even though primary education is said to include educational materials such as exercise books and writing provisions, the country often fails to implement this due to lack of funds. According to Mtambo, the major challenge is found in the rural part of the country where teachers are not interested to go and teach due to lack of teachers' houses, the social amenities like hospitals and electricity. And this is why there is a lot of imbalance of teachers in the urban sectors than in the rural part of the country.
They are not there. Of course, teachers are actually trained to say, use what we call talula. Using the local available resources, but not everything can be terrorized, if I put it like that. The teachers need to be equipped with the necessary teaching and learning resources. So that's a challenge. We don't have them. And then another challenge facing the primary school now is the attitude that is there towards the teacher. Teachers in the past used to be respected very, very well. You go there, they are not concerned.
Primary education forms the bedrock of development. It is in primary school that children learn foundational skills that prepare them for work, life, and active citizenship. Quality education empowers children and young people, safeguards their health and well-being, and breaks cycles of poverty. Reporting for Luntha Television News in Lilongwe, this is Charity Chilanga.
Remember, you're still watching news right here on Luntha Television. Now, a reminder of the headlines. Pope Francis calls on the faithful to keep their hearts open to hope and to trust in God. Malawi Parliament adjourns amid opposition rejection of a reconstruction of press trust. Poor sanitation and waste management rocks Lilongwe City as the council commits to contain the situation. And in other news, Senegal members of parliament detained for hitting female colleague. Pope Francis calls on the faithful to keep their hearts open to hope and to trust in God. Malawi Parliament adjourns amid opposition rejection of a reconstruction of press trust. Poor sanitation and waste management rocks Lilongwe City as the council commits to contain the situation. And in other news, Senegal members of parliament detained for hitting female colleague. Pope Francis calls on the faithful to keep their hearts open to hope and to trust in God. Malawi Parliament adjourns amid opposition rejection of a reconstruction of press trust. Poor sanitation and waste management rocks Lilongwe City as the council commits to contain the situation. And in other news, Senegal members of parliament detained for hitting female colleague. Pope Francis calls on the faithful to keep their hearts open to hope and to trust in God. Malawi Parliament adjourns amid opposition rejection over reconstruction of Press Trust. Poor sanitation and waste management rocks Lilongwe City as the council commits to contain the situation. And in other news, Senegal members of parliament detained for hitting female colleague. In what may be seen as negligence and disregard of good health among people in the city, the Lilongwe City Council is failing to go green by managing the waste found within the city. Business operators rely on the officials to do their best by collecting garbage away from the business places, but it is reported that it takes time for the officials to comply despite paying city rates. But the city mayor, Richard Banda, says that the situation is under watch and that everything will be in place as they have procured other equipment that help in waste management. We have a report by Bernard Mwanza.
This is one of waste dumping sites within the town where most business operators throw their garbage each passing day, despite a place being close to a minibus terminal. The site is also too close to some businesses, which, according to some operators, stand as a blockage to their businesses.
The city is failing here. They said accommodates too much waste each passing day, but it takes more than a week before they come to collect another garbage, instead of coming here on daily basis.
He says due to the uncleanness of the space, some customers shun their different businesses. Our walk around the town also found that some sites that are designated to have waste bins had none, as it was reported that the city waste team came to collect it about 2 weeks before. Other bins were looking like this. Almost all the streets and drainage patterns within the Lilongwe City have turned into dumping sites of waste, despite having a lot of people coming in and going out of town each passing day, which renders them victims of cholera and other diseases. While accepting that the city has been having challenges in as far as waste management is concerned, Lilongwe City Mayor, His Worship Richard Banda, says the council is currently trying its best to ensure that sanitation is enhanced in the city. He says they had a small number of trucks that help in collecting garbage, but now they have procured additional trucks to support in the exercise, as he hopes that the situation may change in 2 weeks from now.
It's my appeal as the mayor of the city, saying that no, everybody should take the ownership of the city. How can they take the ownership of the city? They should also have that change in their mind that as a city we don't have more staff within the city that can be just everywhere to be our staff of the city.
During a meeting with the Vice President Dr. Saros Chilima on 21st September 2020 on the status of reforms in the city, the council reported that solid waste management bylaws were approved and gazetted on 21st June 2019, which allows private operators to participate in solid waste management, and that by that time it was planning to engage community and private sector in waste management through waste to energy initiatives, among others, moving forward. Despite being the Malawi's capital, Lilongwe City remains the least performing city in as far as sanitation is concerned, beaten by other cities such as the commercial city of Luntha, old capital city of Zomba and Mzuzu. For Luntha News, I am Bernard Mwanza.
The Ministry of Natural Resources and Climate Change, through the Department of Forestry, has said all is set for this year's National Forestry Season, which starts in mid-December to 15th April the following year. Speaking with Luntha TV, Public Relations Officer for Ministry of Natural Resources and Climate Change, Frank Mkondetseni, said the country has a target of restoring 29,000 hectares by planting 50 million trees and 9,000 hectares of natural regeneration. We have a report by Hope Kambeta.
According to Mkondetseni, government through the Department of Forestry is not only interested in numbers of trees that are planted every year, but also make sure that trees grow to reach maturity. He added that government has formulated guidelines for successive planting and forest restoration in the country.
The 2022-2023 National Forest Season will be launched on 23 December in Mangochi. This aims at raising awareness on the importance of trees and forests, as well as to promote a culture of planting and managing trees in the country. It is expected that 50 million trees will be planted during this season. Meanwhile, the Department of Forestry is appealing to the general public, including government departments, the private sector, and the non-governmental organizations to collaborate with the department and participate in various tree planting activities in their respective areas as a contribution towards the restoration of forest landscapes.
Further, Condescent said government's effort is to make sure that trees are managed and are able to deliver intended products and services. This year, as part of campaign for the commemoration of National Forestry Season, tree planting and management activities are expected to take place in Mangochi Palm Forest on 23rd December 2022, under the theme of Restore Degraded Forest Landscapes for Livelihood Security. For Luntha Television News, this is Hope Kambeta.
Lastly, in international news, two opposition Senegalese MPs have been arrested for the alleged assault of their pregnant colleague in Parliament earlier this month. It follows the chaos that erupted during a budget debate in Parliament in scenes that were televised. The video of the fight was shared widely on social media. The MP, Masata Samb, is said to have slapped the female MP, Ame Ndiaye Igenemi, after she scoffed at him during the debate. Reports indicate that she threw a chair at him before another MP, Mamadou Niang, kicked her in the stomach after she was pushed to the ground. Both Mr. Samb and Mr. Niang have been detained and are charged with voluntarily causing hurt. The two are expected to appear in court on Monday. Well, that is all we had for you for now. But before we go, another look at the headlines. Pope Francis calls on the faithful to keep their hearts open to hope and to trust in God. Malawi Parliament adjourns amid opposition rejection of a reconstruction of press trust. Poor sanitation and waste management rocks Lilongwe City as the council commits to contain the situation. And in other news, Senegal members of parliament detained for hitting female colleague. My name is Jacqueline Saidi. Thank you very much for watching Luntha Television, and stay safe.